Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be taking a look at what to do when one of your engines catches fire when you're coming in for a landing. Now we've taken a look at some engine failures in the past, and it's always kind of good to review them because it's a great reminder of the fact that even though we have these high reliability, very, very powerful aircraft, we always have to be ready for the unexpected, which is why I figured this would be a good opportunity to kind of come back to it. It's also a great way to kind of showcase some of the capabilities that you have with this cool black square Beechcraft Duke, and I think it's actually neat. We have the turbine variety today. We just took off from a Bradley International Airport there, and what we're going to do is we're just going to take ourselves into a pretty typical pattern here. Go ahead and take myself a nice gentle left turn. I'll let the nose sink just a little bit, and we'll kind of come swing around here into a left traffic. Traffic pattern altitude, of course, so it depends here if you're a big, powerful airplane or your little kind of GA plane. For us, we're ironically somewhere in the middle. We are not heavy enough to need our own type rating, but we're extremely fast. So it's kind of one of those little situations where you're trying to find the best balance. So one of the cool things that we have in this aircraft is we have the ability to go ahead and simulate all sorts of really, really, I don't want to say neat failures, but they're all very, very cool because they're basically going to give you the opportunity to sort of experience those things without, having to leave the comfort of your office chair, so to speak. So it should be kind of fun for us. So let's go ahead and I'm going to line myself up at my downwind here, just like that. We're getting a little bit high here. I don't want to be too high. Let's go ahead and get that nose down a little bit. I'm going to go pop on the autopilot real fast here. We can go ahead and flip on altitude hold mode. And it's going to go ahead and take me in a crazy heading here, because I never bothered to set the heading. Let me fix that real fast here. Looking for about a 150. There we go. It's much better. Let the nose sink back down a little. That looks pretty good here. And we're just going to look at that left wing. I'll keep it on for a while. And pause game. Super. So what we're going to do here is we're going to open up our little panel here. It's kind of neat here. They've got a bunch of different stuff here. And one of the things we're going to do is we're going to destroy the right engine here. I feel kind of bad for it. And there's a lot of things we need to do with any sort of fire. The first thing is, you remember, how do you get rid of fire? You have to deny it oxygen, and you have to deny it something to burn. And those are kind of things. If it's basically the wrong ratio, it ain't going to work. So whenever we have a fire inside of an aircraft, we always want to be thinking, how do we prevent it from being able to either get more air to keep burning, or give it too much air so it can't burn right, or deny it something to actually burn. So in this case, of course, our source of fire is going to be our fuel. So let's go ahead and get that nice and filled for us real quickly here. I'll go ahead and drag this down. I feel bad for this engine. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and trigger my engine failure now. So we're going to get an alarm immediately. And now in the real world, usually you get smoke before you get fire, but that warning is more than enough. So we need to secure that engine immediately. So we're going to go ahead and disable that one. We're going to pull that all the way down. We're also going to discharge as fast as we can. See this little panel? There we go. Now we're hoping that the fire extinguisher can catch it in time. There we go. Fantastic. So let's go ahead and unpause. We'll pretend we did all those things very quickly. We got a master warn here. And now we have a couple new problems that we have to deal with. Of course, the first problem we have to deal with is the fact we've lost thrust. You can see that engine there is just kind of slowly turning here. So the other problem we have now is if I try to increase the thrust of the left engine, it makes the whole aircraft pull to the right. You can actually see distinctively without pushing rudder. If I increase thrust, you see how we're turning. If I pull the thrust down, you can see how the whole thing starts slipping the other way. The other problem we have, of course, and this would be more of a real-world issue, is the fact that all that fire, if you remember, we get our heat from our actual aircraft's basically heat that comes off the combustion. So one of the other problems we'd have to do is make sure that we actually shut off our heat. Now, it was a pretty nice day today, so because of that, I didn't have the heat turned on. But if I did, you'd want to close that vent immediately, because otherwise you're going to cause all sorts of problems. Now, here's an easy way to know that your engine died. Look at your ball. If you're not doing any coordination, dead foot, dead engine. So if you see that ball shifting left, push your left foot to correct for the dead engine. We're not using ailerons here. You're going to get a cross-controlled situation, and things are going to get very messy for you very, very quickly. Now, in the real world, of course, we'd be declaring an emergency like crazy. The reason we do that naturally is that we have to get back on the ground. As a matter of fact, I don't know that I'd even try to turn back for the airport at this point. Knowing that the fire is out is great news for us because of the fact that that's cool. So we don't have to worry about that part. But keep in mind that that fire will also weaken the structure of the whole spars, your engines, everything you can possibly imagine. Now, things are a little different now. As I come here to final here, as I'm noticing the fact that I'm a bit high, and I'm so tempted to reach for my landing gear lever. Now, this is where things get interesting. When you have fires, things might be broken that you didn't expect to break. So when you engage things, always keep in mind that they might not go down, number one, and they might not come up, number two. So when it comes to setting myself up for my landing here, you need to make sure that your landing gear are operational before you even try it. And the other thing you want to remember too is when I do things like put down landing gear, you're going to massively increase the drag of my airplane. You can see that the thing is happily feathered there because I blew the blue handle all the way back. So on approach here, I need to keep an eye on a lot of things. So one thing I won't do is put my flaps all the way down. I'm going to leave my flaps one notch, just a one notch. Again, all that drag is going to make it harder to recover. The next thing is I need to keep a close eye on my airspeed. I'm noticing right now, for example, that I'm coming in at about 110, which is a little fast, but you see that lovely little red line there? That red line is my minimum controllable speed. If I trip below that, I might not be able to maintain positive lateral control. There we are, looking pretty good. We're over the end of the runway here. Now, the nice thing is when you pull your power to idle now, it's actually going to be easier to control because you're not dealing with that asymmetric thrust. Now, the other thing we have to remember is we don't have reversers anymore. So as we settle into this runway here, we can't be jamming on the reverser control because if we try to, you're going to get asymmetric reverse thrust, which is going to be bad for us like that. Now, one of the neat things they have done when they built this aircraft for the purposes of us over in Flight Sim is that damage is actually done. It's happened to that engine here. So if I actually were to bring up my tablet again, let's go ahead and clear the failure real fast. If I go to my right engine, you'll notice that did 7% damage to this particular engine here. So it's actually in pretty rough shape. So for those of you who are using this plane for that particular purpose, make sure you go through and fix everything. So we got to clear the engine, we got to repair the starter, we got to clear the filters, recharge the batteries, and refill the fire extinguisher. The last thing we want to do after we do all these bits here, and you can actually see the igniters clicking away there. I'm actually going to disable the igniters. Is I'm actually going to repair the engine. It'll say, are you sure? I'm going to say yes. And now you can see here that we have a nice fresh engine ready to go. Of course, that fresh engine is not turning or anything like that, which checks out on account of the fact that the engine over on this side, my good left engine here, good job left engine, you carried us all the way down to safety, is cruising along perfectly happy as it kind of goes. Enjoy.